Let me take a breath before I tell you what happened that night, because even now, retelling it makes my stomach twist the same way it did when the truth first hit me. It began with a video. Not a text, not a phone call. A video, sent to me by a mistake. I was standing in my kitchen in Atlanta, 8 months into a marriage I thought was safe, steady, and loving. I had just finished packing my husband's bag for his annual regional meeting in Charlotte. I ironed his shirts, folded his suits, and tucked a handwritten note in his laptop sleeve like a fool in love. When his phone buzzed on the counter, I didn't mean to look. I truly didn't, but the preview flashed across the screen. "Can't wait for you to get home, baby." Followed by a red heart. My heart didn't stop. It froze. Then the video autoplayed. A woman, beautiful, smiling, wearing nothing but one of his t-shirts, walked around a sunlit apartment I had never seen before. She laughed softly into the camera. "Hurry back to me, Aaron. I miss you already." My husband's name. Her barefoot walk across his shirt. A kitchen decorated like someone lived there permanently. My fingers shook so hard the phone almost fell from my hands. I told myself there had to be a logical explanation, a prank, a misunderstanding, a coworker, a cousin, something, anything that made the pain in my throat feel less like betrayal and more like paranoia. But deep down, I knew. I knew the same way a woman knows when she's no longer the only one in a man's heart. I should have confronted him. I should have screamed or cried or thrown the damn phone across the room. But I didn't. Something colder and sharper took over, something quiet, something patient. I decided to follow him, not to pick a fight, not to accuse him, but to see the truth with my own eyes. Because if my marriage was going to crumble, I needed to know exactly what had destroyed it. Aaron left at 6 a.m. sharp, kissed me on the forehead, told me he loved me, told me he'd call before he checked into the hotel. But I already knew he wasn't staying at a hotel. I waited 15 minutes, grabbed my keys, and drove after him. The interstate to Charlotte stretched ahead like the beginning of a nightmare I couldn't stop walking into. For the first hour, I rehearsed what I'd say if he caught me. For the second hour, I rehearsed what I'd say if she opened the door instead of him. By the time I reached the city, I wasn't rehearsing anything. I was shaking. Charlotte greeted me with bright buildings and busy streets, completely unaware that my life was being ripped in half somewhere inside it. And then I saw him, my husband, my love. He exited the freeway, turned into a quiet residential neighborhood, and parked in front of a modern brick apartment building with white balconies. He stepped out of the car and walked like he belonged there. No hesitation, no caution, no looking over his shoulder. The door to apartment 4B opened before he even knocked. And she stood there, the same woman from the video. Long curls, soft smile, wearing his t-shirt again. She reached for him like she'd been waiting all morning. I watched my husband kiss her, deeply, easily, the way he used to kiss me before our marriage settled into routine. My whole body went numb. She wrapped her arms around his neck. He held her waist like it was familiar, like it was home. And then I saw something that shattered me completely. A toddler, a little girl maybe 2 years old, ran to the doorway with her tiny arms up. Aaron bent down, lifted her, and kissed her cheek. Like a father. Like her father. My breath left my body. The world went silent. My heart split down the middle. Because in that moment, I realized the man I had married didn't just have another woman. He had a whole second life. A home, a child, a family, a version of himself I had never met. And I was the outsider, the extra, the wife he kept in another city. I don't know how long I sat in the car. Minutes, hours, time stopped meaning anything. All I could see was that child's face, her eyes, her curly hair, her laughter as she clung to the man I loved. He had built a life with her, but had married me. Why? Why keep me? Why lie? Why pretend? Anger spread slowly through my veins, burning away the shock. Questions piled up faster than I could breathe. Was I a cover? A convenience? A mistake he didn't know how to clean up? Or worse, was I the woman he liked while she was the woman he loved? I wasn't going home, not without answers. I parked across the street, kept my head low, and waited. Waited to see how long he stayed. Waited to see who he was when he thought I wasn't watching. Waited to see the truth of the man who shared my bed but had given his heart somewhere else. And as the sun began to set behind their apartment building, casting long shadows across my shattered reality, I made a promise to myself. I would uncover everything, every lie, every secret, every part of the life he built behind my back. And when I did, I would decide what kind of woman I would be. The broken one, the silent one, or the woman who would burn his entire devil life to the ground. I didn't sleep that night. Not in the car, not in a hotel, not anywhere. I sat there, engine off, hands clenched around the steering wheel, watching the building where my husband's other life unfolded like some twisted domestic movie. It didn't feel real, but the ache in my chest told me it was. I wasn't just betrayed. I was replaced by a woman who wore his shirts, by a child who carried his smile, and suddenly, every conversation Aaron and I had over the last 2 years replayed in my mind with brutal clarity. His late nights at the office, his unexpected work trips, his constant excuses about being too tired to talk, his new habit of putting his phone face down. I wanted to cry, but something in me refused to fall apart. Not yet. Not until I knew everything he had been hiding. What I saw through their windows. Just after 8 p.m., the blinds in their apartment lit up with warm yellow light. Through a narrow gap, I saw silhouettes moving inside. Hers, his, and the child's. The three of them sat at a round dining table. They laughed. They clinked glasses. He held the little girl on his lap as she ate from his plate. He looked happy, not stressed, not exhausted, not like the man who dragged himself home to me some nights, claiming long meetings wore him out. He looked complete. I pressed a hand to my mouth to stop myself from making a sound, because I had never seen him like that with me. Not in months. Maybe not ever. From what I could see, she was soft-spoken, gentle, feminine in a way that made me jealous, even though I didn't want to be. She had the kind of easy grace that made a room feel calmer, warmer. I hated her. And I hated myself for hating her, because she didn't owe me loyalty. He did. But hating him hurt too much, so she became the easier target, an outlet for everything I didn't know how to process. Who was she? How long had she known him? Did she know about me? My stomach churned at the last question. Because the woman in that video had smiled too easily, too confidently, too lovingly to be some side piece kept in the dark. She wasn't hidden. I was. At 10:47 p.m., the front door opened. Aaron stepped out carrying a trash bag. He looked relaxed, comfortable, almost like the version of him I knew on our honeymoon, the man who held my hand through the streets of Savannah, who kissed my shoulders in the mornings, who told me he'd never hurt me. He threw the bag into the dumpster, stretched his arms, and checked his phone. For a moment, I thought he sensed me. But then, he typed a message, smiled down at the screen, and walked back inside. The message probably wasn't for me. I hadn't heard from him in hours. A fresh wave of pain crashed over me. Just after midnight, he finally left. He kissed her at the doorway, slowly, intimately, then hugged the little girl, who clung to him like she didn't want to let go. He promised to come back in 2 days. I heard him. He said it out loud. Not even whispering, not hiding it. My hands trembled. 2 days. Meaning he'd be back before he returned to Atlanta, meaning this wasn't a one-time secret visit. He did this often. He hugged them like family. He walked to his car like a man who belonged in 2 different worlds. And then he drove away. I waited a full minute before turning my own engine on and following him. He didn't go back to a hotel. He didn't go to any meeting. He drove to a rented condo on the other side of the city. One I had never seen, one he had never mentioned. His car slid smoothly into a reserved parking spot labeled 216. That told me one thing. He had been staying here often enough to make it official. He walked inside. Lights turned on. He poured himself a drink. And just like that, he disappeared into another fabricated version of his life. The silence around me grew heavy. He had a home with me in Atlanta, a home with her here, a child there, a ring from me, a life with another woman. He wasn't living double. He was living parallel. I didn't go to him. I didn't knock. I didn't confront him. Not yet. I needed proof. I needed clarity. I needed strength. Most of all, I needed a plan. You don't walk into a fire without knowing how you'll get back out. At sunrise, I drove to a nearby cafe, ordered black coffee with hands that wouldn't stop trembling, and pulled out my phone. And I did what any woman with shattered trust and nothing left to lose would do. I searched her name. And I found it. Her Instagram, her Facebook, her Pinterest boards. Pictures of her and her daughter. Pictures of the same apartment. Birthday posts from Daddy. A family photo at a park. Aaron was cut out, but his hand holding the child's was still visible. And then I found something that made my vision blur with rage. A photo from 3 months ago. She was holding the little girl in her arms. The caption read, "Our world is complete again. Welcome home." 3 months ago, Aaron told me he was in Dallas for a conference. 3 months ago, we went to counseling because he said he felt distant. 3 months ago, I told him I wanted to start trying for a baby. Now I understood the look that had flashed across his face that day, the panic, the hesitation, the guilt. He didn't want a child with me. He already had one somewhere else. At 9 a.m., my phone finally rang. Aaron, my husband. His name lit up my screen like a cruel joke. I let it ring twice before answering. "Hey, baby," he said, sounding refreshed and tearful. "I'm heading into the first session now. Long day ahead. I'll call you at lunch, okay?" My heart cracked open, but my voice came out steady. "Okay. Love you." "I love you more," he said quickly. A rehearsed line, a reflex, a lie he didn't even think twice about. He hung up, and I sat there in the cafe, phone still by my ear, breathing through the kind of pain that makes your ribs hurt. My husband was a world-class liar. A man with 2 homes, 2 identities, 2 families. But he only had one problem. I wasn't going back to Atlanta without blowing his entire second life apart. I wiped my tears, straightened my spine, and whispered to myself, if he thinks he knows who I am, he's about to meet a new version of me. I didn't wait another day. Not for calls, not for excuses, not for him to come clean. I had seen enough to know there was nothing left to wait for. By late morning, I was parked in the shadow of the apartment complex again. Apartment 4B. Their little kingdom. Their family that I wasn't part of. I watched the door, the windows, the balcony, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. A surge of power. Not over him, not yet, but over myself. Because for the first time, I wasn't hiding in the shadows. I wasn't pretending everything was fine. I wasn't the wife he kept. I was the storm coming for them. I couldn't just knock on the door and demand answers. That would ruin everything. I needed evidence. I needed clarity. I needed control. I had already scrolled through her social media. I knew her routines. I knew her habits. I knew when Aaron left the condo and when he returned. It was time to go inside. But how? A key? A neighbor's distraction? A delivery excuse? It didn't matter. I would find a way. At 2:15 p.m., I saw her, walking down the hall, pushing the door closed behind her. I followed, heart hammering, hands clammy around the strap of my purse. "Hi," I said, forcing a friendly smile. She froze. A spark of curiosity, then caution, flashed in her eyes. "Yes?" she asked. I think I have the wrong apartment," I said, holding up a small package I had grabbed from my car earlier. "Oh, I've been expecting this," she said, relief in her voice. She smiled politely, but something in her postures shifted, tightened. I smiled back, a small, measured smile. Inside, my mind raced. I had 20 seconds before she realized something was off. 20 seconds to get what I needed. Once inside, the place looked familiar and foreign at the same time. Familiar, the way a home lived in and loved. Foreign, the way it belonged to someone else, someone I didn't know. She set down the package and turned, suspicious but courteous. "I'm Anna," she said. I froze. Her name. The woman I had been watching for months. And yet I wasn't ready to say anything. Not yet. I'm Claire," I said, choosing a name I had used in passing when pretending to be a delivery agent once before. It stuck. She nodded. Small talk. Safe talk. I used it to my advantage. I didn't let my eyes linger on her too long. Instead, I started looking around. Every photo, every shelf, every toy. And then I saw it. A photo of Aaron. Not a generic photo, a family photo. A small frame on the mantel showing Aaron, Anna, and their daughter smiling at the camera. The same child I had seen running to him in the doorway months ago. 3 months old, smiling, happy, complete. My chest constricted. This wasn't a fling. This wasn't a mistake. This was his other life. I also found letters, small notes from Aaron to Anna, tucked away in a drawer. Loving notes, thoughtful notes, personal notes. Every one signed with his nickname for her, my sunshine. He hadn't just been cheating. He had been living, fully, entirely. And I had been nothing but a convenient lie. I didn't need to plan further. I needed the truth, and truth demanded action. I called his name. "Aaron," I said, louder this time. He came out of the kitchen, frozen, glass of water in hand. His eyes widened. "Claire?" he said, confused. "Yes, it's me," I said, voice steady now, slicing through the quiet of their apartment. Anna froze. The child looked up from the floor, curious. Aaron stepped toward me, but I didn't flinch. What are you doing here?" he asked, panic creeping into his voice. I needed to see what you've been hiding from me." He looked at Anna, his face twisting in guilt and fear. This isn't what it looks like," he started. I held up a hand. Don't lie to me. I've seen the video. I've followed you. I've seen your life here. And now, I'm here. Anna's eyes filled with fear. Aaron's face was pale. I felt a strange satisfaction. I had arrived. I had found him. I had confronted him. But the storm was just beginning. Aaron stammered, I never meant for you to know. I interrupted him. No, save it. You built a life with her while you married me, and now you're going to tell me everything. No lies, no excuses, no more pretending. Anna clutched the child to her chest. Aaron looked from me to her, caught between the two women he had claimed to love. And in that moment, I realized something. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was about power. It was about control. It was about the woman I had to become, not the one he thought he could push around. I drew in a breath and said, softly, but with steel in my voice, "You made your choices. Now it's my turn." The air in apartment 4B felt thick, heavy, like the calm before a hurricane. Aaron's face was pale, almost unrecognizable. Anna clutched the little girl tightly, eyes wide, unsure what storm had just entered their home. And I felt more alive than I had in months. For the first time, the tables had turned. The wife who had been kept in another city, the one who had watched in silence, was finally here. Aaron stammered again. Claire, please, this isn't what you think." I shook my head, letting a slow, deliberate anger build in me. "I know what it is, Aaron. Don't bother trying to twist it into something else. I've seen your life here, your notes, your photos, your child. I know everything." His lips parted, searching for words, but none came. Anna's eyes filled with tears. The child clung to her mother, sensing tension she couldn't understand. "You married me," I continued, my voice rising with a mixture of hurt and fury. "You lived a whole other life, a real life. You didn't just betray me, you erased me from your heart and your plans, as if I didn't matter." Aaron's hands shook. I never wanted to hurt you." "Never wanted to hurt me?" I spat the words like venom. "You built lies. You had a family. And you lied to me every single day." His eyes darted to Anna and then back at me. I didn't think you'd find out." "Didn't think or didn't care?" I asked sharply, stepping closer. "I want the truth. Now. Every detail. No excuses." For the next hour, Aaron confessed everything. He admitted he had met Anna at a conference years ago. Their connection had been instant. She became pregnant before he met me. He panicked. He married me anyway, convincing himself he could live in two worlds. He split his time, his affection, his life. Every lie, every missed call, every late night at work was carefully planned to protect his secret life while keeping me from suspecting anything. I listened, absorbing every word, every excuse, every justification. And yet, each explanation fueled a new fire inside me. How could the man I loved, maybe even trusted, be capable of something like this? I realized then that my pain wasn't just heartbreak. It was betrayal in its purest, cruelest form. After the confession, silence fell. The apartment seemed smaller somehow, confining, claustrophobic. I looked at Anna, at the child, at Aaron, and I knew something important. I had a choice. I could leave, walk away from him, from their life, from everything I had believed in. Or I could fight. Fight for truth, fight for justice, fight for the part of me that refused to be hidden, silenced, or erased. I chose neither. I chose myself. I turned to Aaron. "You made your choices," I said, slowly, deliberately. "Now I make mine." I pulled out my phone and started recording. Not for social media, Not for revenge, for proof. Evidence of every lie, every deceit, every part of the life he thought he could hide. "This isn't just about you," I told him, voice calm but cutting like steel. "It's about the consequences of your actions, and I promise you, they will come." I handed the phone to Anna. "You deserve to know the truth, too," I said softly, leaving her stunned but thoughtful. I kissed the child on the forehead, whispering a blessing for her innocence, then turned and walked out the door. I drove back to Atlanta in silence. The city lights blurred past, tears streaking my face, mixing with a strange sense of relief. For months, I had felt powerless, trapped in a life built on lies. But now, for the first time, I felt free. I didn't know what would happen next. I didn't know if Aaron would try to contact me. I didn't know how he would repair or destroy his life. But I knew one thing. I had survived. I had uncovered the truth, and I had chosen me. As the first rays of dawn hit the skyline, I realized that some betrayals are devastating, but some awaken a woman's true strength, and I was ready to rebuild my life on my own terms.